All right, episode 3, here we go. So the topic of this episode is going to be sideline behavior. But first I wanted to circle back to social media because I had to go quick the other day, and I got like 35 minutes right now. But so I just want to talk, there's one more point I have time to bring up with the social media. And it's this idea when we always say that like social media, we're lucky social media wasn't around when we were kids, right? Obviously. But I just want to talk about that because I thought about it a little differently the other day. And I was thinking about like the things I did when I like would tease a kid, or like, you know, we'd have 4 buddies in the back of a pickup truck bombing down the beach or something. Like the dumb things we did, right? Because when our brain's developing in like middle and high school, we like do lots of dumb things. So we'll always say like, thank God social media wasn't there. And then also sometimes I'm confused on like why kids post this stuff, right? Like I don't understand like why they do it. Like they know like the red Solo Cup's not a great look if you're trying to get it recruited or if you're too young or whatever. But I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about it in I think a different way. But for the first time I thought about it, like I used to do dumb stuff in front of an audience of like 5 kids or even 1 kid, right? If it was me and my buddy and we could tease another kid or do something cool or whatever. I'm thinking a lot more about like bullying and teasing kids, and we do that for like a small audience. And then, like, if you had a joke and you hit it, and, like, you know, there's eight of the buddies around, and you say a joke and everyone laughs, then I think, like, why not try it for 100 people or 1,000 people? And I mean, look at what I'm doing with this stuff. Like I'm trying to have a bigger audience because I don't have time to talk to my friends, and I think that's different. But I just never thought about social media and how hard it is to be a middle school or high school kid in your hand and do something crazy or funny or mean. Well, mean probably relates to funny a little bit there or whatever. And thinking the pressure to do that when I just had like 1 buddy with me in Chatham in like the early 90s. And how much bigger that pressure is, right? And again, we talked earlier about how the pressure for social media is just like, I want to get more likes. I want to get more followers. I want to get more, you know, retweets or whatever it is. But like, with thinking of my brain in middle school, the crazy stuff I did, the dumb stuff I did, the mean stuff I did, just for like to make 1 person laugh. If I had the opportunity to do that stuff and post it and make 100 or 1,000 or maybe 1,000,000 people laugh, and maybe I'm the next big thing, and I'm like one of those goofballs, like the kid. I feel like Jack Doherty, his name, is one of the famous ones who just like does dumb things and has money, or maybe he doesn't. I don't really know, but like. To have the middle school brain, right? And again, I need to have someone come on this that can really go into all like the brain science. Again, I know enough where like we have big emotions, but we don't know how to control them, right? I know, and we like middle school, that's what's going on with them. So it just, I'd never thought of it from that way. So I'm losing my stuff a little bit here because this isn't what I planned on talking about. But there's one last point. Again, just put a bow on it. Like thinking of the dumb things I did to show off for 1 or 2 people, right? If I think of that, it's easier for me to understand why these kids make huge mistakes posting things online, right? Because I would have done the same thing, right? And I'd never really thought about it like that until like last week or a couple weeks ago. I might have to redo this whole thing too because the landscapers just showed up, so I'm not sure if you can hear them buzzing. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about sideline behavior. I think it's a wild area of opportunity for us. You know, obviously I do it as a coach. I do it as a parent. You know, I don't think the teacher hat plays in this one. But so I want to tell you a story. On April 18th, 2025, so very recently, right? Like just over a year ago, I had to run to a parking lot and change my outfit. So Rory had a club game, and her coach got an early yellow. The ref, you know, just in my opinion, was not awesome, right? So our coach got an early yellow. Our girls were getting killed. They're getting fouls on them. I didn't see them. And I just kept, what did I keep yelling? I think I kept yelling like, come on, or no, oh, no way. That was it. I kept yelling, no way, like, no way. And eventually the AR was right in front of me, the assistant referee, and he told me, like, he turned and started talking to me. He's like, hey, have you read the handbook? And, you know, obviously I kind of giggled because I'm a soccer coach and I don't know even what handbook he's referring to. But, you know, he was upset. I was over the line. I was yelling at a ref, and I shouldn't have been. So he kept going, and then I went straight to like middle school. They finally made a call, you know, that went our way, and I did the full like big sarcastic clap, and the guy was, he was 2 feet away from me or something. So then he starts like pounding his chest, right? He's holding his fight. He's doing like something like this. And I'm standing there, and he's pounding his chest, and he's saying like, "Hey, you're gonna, like my picture's gonna be on a wall or something." And I'm like, "Holy crap! Like I can't believe I'm doing this." I'm like acting like a middle schooler right now. They're sarcastic clap, and I laughed a little bit because like back in the day I used to clap, and between the lines in middle school and high school, and the ref or my coach or my parents would yell at me, I'd just be like, well, I'm just clapping, right? And it's like, such an idiot way to, I know what I'm doing, right? So I did the same thing as a 40-year-old man, like 14 months ago. But so like my whole life revolves around soccer, and generally I'm pretty good around the sidelines. On April 18th, 2025, I was not good. So I just made a run for it, right? So he's hitting his chest. So I'm like, God, that must be the signal to like get someone's attention. There's like a dickhead parent over here. So I looked at Dill. I was like, dude, I got to get out of here. Like, I don't know what this handbook is. I don't know where they're going to put my picture. But like, I love coaching soccer. I screwed this up. I should probably find a way to like reach out to the guy and apologize. But obviously I didn't do that. I'm not going to do it now. But so I ran to the truck, put a hat on over the man bun, and put a jacket on, right? It was probably a scene from some movie. I remember, what was his name? Bobby Valentine, the old Mets coach. I think he popped in the dugout after he got ejected with like a mustache on or something. But so I did that, right? Like I say nothing on the sidelines most of the time. If I'm a coach, I feel like I'm allowed to talk to an adult referee a little bit and ask questions, and again, like more in a big situation, right? Like back when I was coaching high school, college, I don't say much. I think really it should only be the head coach who's allowed to talk to the ref, and obviously like a captain has a little leeway there too. But so I made that mistake. It was a huge mistake, right? I had a guy that was trying to get my name and kick me out. And that's like the opposite of what I want to do, right? So again, this is a hard gig. Parenting, coaching, being a fan of our kids, it's so hard. So I always want to start, I think part of my goal of this whole thing is like showing where I'm trying to grow, where I screwed up. Because I think I've had success over the past couple of months as I've been trying to build relationship and make new friends. When I just share some of you have to be vulnerable a little bit, right? And I share like my mistakes, and then people are like, okay to kind of open up. Because I think we're so guarded and anxious all the time. It's hard to do that. So I just wanted to talk about some sideline behavior and see where we're at on it, right? Because I think it's something we talk about, obviously, like Instagram. We see videos. I saw my first Instagram video with people from Medfield on it. Not like, they're in the background yelling, but there was an altercation between dads. Like, I don't think it was hands. I think it was, shoving or something. But like, this happens everywhere in the world. In my world, this happens all the time. I see it on Instagram. I know it could be my world. But just in the last like year-ish, I think, Mego showed me a video, and it was Medfield parents in the stands yelling a little bit, and like I said, I do it too, right? I had to run and change my outfit because I didn't want to like get kicked out or get put on the board or whatever. But so I just want to talk about it, right? We just got to slow down. Like when I'm a coach, when I was doing the Chief World Cup watcher thing, I was filming myself watching I forget, I did Dylan's game, I did some younger games. I think I posted some of it, but not a ton. But at one point I had to turn the camera off. At one point I was sitting there watching a game, and there was a Medfield kid who I recognized. I think he plays for the varsity team in the middle, and the other coach was going crazy. And he thought it was an offsides call. The kid was behind the defense, but on their half. Like I think the kid got the call right. He's got a linesman. It was close enough or whatever. But the opposing coach was going crazy to the point where I hit the camera and kind of stood up and started walking over to him, right? And I stopped and whatever. The kid handled it awesome. I don't know who the kid is, but he looked at him and he gave him a couple lines like, what are we doing here? He's like, they're 10. And then what did the kid say? He gave him wait, it's not that serious. What did kids say? They don't say it's not that serious. I forget what kids say now. Maybe it'll come to me, but it's not that deep. He's like, yeah, for his first line, he goes, it's not that deep. And then I think my phone died. I got to figure out the storage stuff because now I have like 1 billion. So I'm just going to try to restart that. Oh, yeah, it's just full. Yeah, I got like 1 billion long videos. The one I did yesterday, obviously, it was like 45 minutes. I got to figure out how to get it off my phone. But so the kid handled it great. So I stood up, started walking. The kid handled it. The coach sat down, and he gave him they were like 10-year-old kids. And then he gave him it's not that deep, which was funny because if you're someone that's with high school kids, that's kind of their line for just dude, too much. But anyway, so that was cool. The kid handled that well. And that was just a couple of weeks ago. I forget why I started talking about that, but just different examples. I was at a lacrosse tournament like 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is one I want to talk about because I think it was over my line. Dylan was playing the game. They were down 2-0 in the championship of like a one-day tournament, right? So the craziest thing is you see the worst of parents during a championship, right? As if it matters if we win this championship when we're 11 years old of a 1- and 2-day tournament. But it's crazy. You can see it. You see everyone ramp up. Like when my kids make the championship, I'll start talking to the sidelines to my friends if I have any, and just be like, now we get to see the worst of people because I try and put it on in their heads, right? Like we're not going to be those people, but people get amped up. It's a championship now. Like it matters, right? If our kid wins a championship when they're 11. So this was a one-day lacrosse thing in Long Island. Boys were down 2-0. We had a 4 or 5 hour ride home. The dude who, we're all from the same area. I don't totally know where he lived or whatever. But so they went down 2-0. And I think the craziest part is the other team's goalie was like standing on his head. Like I'm pretty sure he was out of his mind. We might have hit like 4 or 5 pipes. It might have been a different game. But like my point is like I think the game was in hand. Like I don't know anything about lacrosse, but I know like we had the advantage. We were playing downhill, as I'd say, or on the front foot. But we're down 2-0, and the guy just goes, "Boys, pick it up, or the ride home's going to be a lot longer." And you're like, okay, buddy. That's like a lot to yell, and no one was like laughing with him. But then the craziest thing, like I was in row 2, someone beat, they had their chairs. I was standing for this game right on the line as we all do. The sideline struggle is so funny. I'm standing there like stalking, wherever I want to sit, waiting for the other team to clear, and that's like a funny game we play. But anyway, there's 2 guys right in front of me, and one of them just looks at his buddy and goes, "I was thinking the same thing." And I don't know which comment like hurt me more, like the guy who's like big and yelling, like not the guy was big, but he's like yelling in a way for everyone can hear it, which is like psychotic. And I don't know if he thinks he's making a joke or if he doesn't think he's a joke. Like this is what we're talking about, right? Like the sideline behavior. This is why we need to have this conversation. But the guy right in front of me, the serious, like, I was thinking the same thing to his buddy, and like, right, maybe it's because the kids would be upset. Right? Like maybe it's the kids would be upset, right? Like that's what we're hoping. If your son's so upset and that's hard to pick him up after, that's okay. But we all know the car ride home, right? It's a thing, right? The car ride home. I was talking to a friend, and he does some coaching, or used to coach, and he calls it the dinner table poison, right? And it's like what the parents say afterwards, right? And we have to be careful. Like I do it myself. We talk about other kids. We talk about the coach, right? And maybe we know the sport, maybe we don't. But either way, us like dogging another kid or dogging a coach like doesn't help the experience for our kid, right? So when the car ride home, if the kid knows he plays a bad game, it doesn't help for us to like pile on them and keep hitting them. Like, why weren't you hustling? Whatever. They know, right? And again, the feed, whatever. I think that's a different thing. This is going to be hard for me too to remember because I've been thinking and journaling about this stuff for so long. So I want to try to make sure I don't repeat myself. I'm going to try to stick to my notes. But anyway, I didn't go over and say anything to that guy. I haven't often. I think only like once in my life I've said something to someone and I've given a couple looks. Like one time I said something to a guy and I just told him to like take it easy. And I think he knew it didn't get to anything, thankfully, right? I've heard conversations of people that say stuff back and forth, and like, I'm not a fighter. Look, whatever. I'm an overweight, like skinny fat diabetic, right? Like I'm not a guy who's going to get in a fight. Another point where we got to watch ourselves, which one of my buddies explained to me in Long Island, was lacrosse, right? Another thing I would argue we shouldn't like move with our kids, but I know people do that. Like my kids play defense most of the time in soccer, and then Dylan plays defense in lacrosse. And, I want to be close to him, but I try not to move with him just because of the point of it, right? And in lacrosse, it's the opposite. Like, even when you talk to hockey parents, they're like, no, lacrosse is the craziest. So a lot of these parents move, right? So what happens is, if my son's a defender and this guy's son's an attackman, like, we just go like this. So we're kind of, if you got 2 yellers there and you're going to head, like, lacrosse gets a little worse. And so one of my buddies from Medfield pointed that out to me, that like lacrosse might be the worst because you're just in it. Like in soccer, we sit on either sides of our bench. So like you shouldn't really be like amongst the other parents. But in lacrosse, it just happens if you chase your kid around. So I think lacrosse is the worst in terms of parent behavior based on, feedback from both soccer and hockey people say it's lacrosse, and those sports aren't great all the time. And then my buddy kind of explained like maybe why it's the reason, right? Because the parents are just in the mix because they're trying to stand near their kids. So if you get a couple of yellers next to each other, that's the dynamite there. Another one I want to talk about, and this one I might totally be oversensitive on, is like the come on and the let's goes. Like, I'm trying to make a point here, right? I'm doing a podcast to try to help kids, to try and build relationships, to try and start conversations, right? To see are we handling this stuff correctly, right? Are we handling social media? Are we handling like how hard we push our kids? And now are we handling ourselves on the sidelines in the right way? So the come on and the let's goes from the parents, like to me that just says you're just yelling at your kid to like run faster, try harder, right? And with this one, like I think kids are always trying as hard as they can. Right? And if they're not, it's probably because they're tired, right? Or they're confused, right? Sometimes I think there's confusion and we confuse it with like lack of effort as a parent. Like as a coach, I've done that before where they're like, what the heck's going on with him today? But like, I think he just doesn't know to commit, right? And they can't be free. So I think there's something I've done wrong coaching if kids, and that looks like a lack of effort, right? But so I just want to put that out there, right? To all the parents that are screaming, come on and let's go. And I had a lot of them at this lacrosse tournament a couple of weeks ago. Like, I think your kid's trying as hard as they can. I didn't look up the date, but I did have, I did some journaling about like when I was at games and like getting upset, like if Rory and Dylan, we drive 2 hours or drive all over the world and you show up and like, it doesn't look like they're going that hard. But then like, I had the realization, right, of this idea of like, I would rather my kids stay up all night in the hotel or they have a sleepover with all their buddies and stay up all night because that's something they're going to remember. They play soccer all the time, right? I would rather they do that and lose a soccer game, right? I'd rather they do that and don't play well in the soccer game, right? And it sucks, right? It sucks for me to drive 2 hours to then watch them be tired because they were up at 2 until 2 in the morning. But like, I think that's for me, that's the gig, right? Like, I don't know. I've talked to a billion parents, right? And people always say like, I just want good effort. I just want good effort. And, it's true, right? We all want that. But like, I just want like the best they can give me. And every day it's a little different, right? They've slept different. They're in a different mood. They understand the coach's plan, or maybe they don't. And I think that all contributes to things we call lack of effort. But anyway, it was a big breakthrough for me when I started like watching my kids after a sleepover and just understanding like, I'm just going to take that one on the chin, right? And maybe they play great, right? Hopefully they do. But like, I can't get mad at Rory and Dill if they want to stay up all night and party with their friends. Like, I'm okay with that sometimes, right? And to be fair, I guess I should say like, they're pretty good. Like my two are pretty good at like figuring out their bedtimes and stuff, like when they need to go to bed and get up for a game. But it's just something I want to talk about, right? Like if we're screaming, let's go. If like every time Rory comes by, I'm screaming at her, like try harder, go harder, go harder. It feels like I'm slipping back into like a jockey parent, right? Like, so I think we need to try to understand what our kids are accomplishing. Again, we got to disconnect from the score. We got to disconnect from, the effort. I get how that sounds so weird saying it. It sounds so weird because like all I want is my kids, my own two and all the 150 kids to give full effort in math class, to give full effort on the soccer field. So this is one I want to talk about. Like I know this one I might be a little sensitive. I might not know what's going on. Along with this is like the joysticking, right? Like we know that's wrong, right? Like the whole idea, the fun of sports, the growth in sports is kids understanding what they need to do, right? Kids learning and making decisions, right? Like we have skills and things, but a lot of like what we're trying to do with our kids is get them to make the best decision, right? The best pass, be in the best position, do what works for them or for their team. Like do what works for them in math class, do what works for their team on the field. So joysticking just has to stop, right? It's just not something that should happen. When I see people do it, I kind of giggle. I can't tell if it makes my heart break or makes me smile a little when you see the parents. Obviously, my kids play for a huge club, so there are parents there that are crazy on them. And you see the kids do like the shut up or like the shh. Like I saw a kid do this one to his dad. And that like breaks my heart because I don't understand why as a parent we wouldn't immediately stop that behavior if the kid's like barking back at us when they're on the field. But it happens. I think we know it's not right. So I think I'm just going to leave that there. Like if you're telling your kid where to move and what to do, that's not great. And to be fair, like, whatever, to put this, like they probably know more about you than the game. If your kids are playing against my kids, don't give me, like I played Division III soccer, right? I played Division III soccer. People did that. The game has changed so much in the last 25 years. It's just a different thing, right? We coach it different. We know more about kids' development. Again, we can go back to like how we need to interact with the kids and the gameplay. And it's all very different, right? So people joysticking your kid isn't good because we're trying to teach the kids to make their own decisions. And I'm not sure you're giving them the right information, right? If this is something you want to talk about, I'm here for it. Soccer, I can talk about every step your kid makes, right? And, we can debate soccer or whatever, but like I spend my life thinking about how, like if what I'm doing is right for our kids, and I spend the rest of my life studying soccer, right? Like trying to figure out what's the best thing right now for kids to give them a chance to make their varsity team. Right? Or how can I get the college team to win, right? But I don't do any high school stuff right now. So my only goal is to give every player I coach a shot at varsity, right? So I need them to think through stuff. If their parents yelling, telling them where to pass, and they're probably wrong, like that needs to stop. Okay, so joysticking is no good. We know that, right? I have a note here. There's been a couple times where I've had to coach kids come off in tears, right? And if they come off in tears, it's generally the anxiety world we're talking about in the first couple episodes, and that just boiling over, right? And so they're either upset because we're losing, upset they made a mistake, upset because their parents yelled at them. But like that just should never happen, right? And so, hopefully I haven't caused it, right? Hopefully I present a plan that the kids can execute. Even if we can't execute it, they're comfortable failing in that plan. But I've coached, I think I've fed 3 or 4 times, and I there's a date here where like kids came off. I think I had to coach like 3 games, and I had kids in 2 separate games come off in tears, right? And I think some of this anxiety, right, where this ball of anxiety is the parents on the sidelines and the kids, I think rather than helping pick the kid up, I think us yelling the things like, come on, let's go, pick it up, what are you doing? Like that's not helping them. You look lazy. Like that, like, the kids want to win. They want to do their best. So I want us to do our best. What I do on the sideline, I just give big, good jobs, right? I talked about how, I think I did, God, this is going to be hard. So I just give big, good jobs, right? If I watch Rory and Dylan play a club sport, I know what the next step is, right? Like what the next soccer skill or the next lacrosse skill, if they tell me lacrosse, like that they're working on. And if they do it, I go crazy. I just give a huge, good job. Anytime they, in soccer, they lose their body, they get the ball, they give it to their team, I'm going crazy. They score, cool. Someone probably made a good pass, whatever. But like we celebrate those things. So I'm just a huge good job guy. I just give a huge good job, and that's all I do. And I try to do it for other kids, but again, I don't know what other kids are working on. I don't know their parents' expectations. If I'm not friends with them, I'm a little nervous to cheer because I'm not sure what's going on there. But anyway, so better there. These things, sorry, this is all I want to talk about, right? I wish I had a co-host. I might have found a co-host today. I don't know that he like totally wants to do it or knows it yet, but like, we'll see. But so last thing, referees, right? So, December 5th, 2024, we had an indoor game. The other team didn't show up, so we had the field for an hour. We invited the siblings on, the kids just scrimmaged, right? I didn't coach. I was kind of watching. It was actually, I remember, because it was kind of cool because they were they were scrimmaging like as if, playing in the streets or at recess or whatever. But they were like making extra passes and stuff. And it was like one of the first times I saw like a bunch of our kids like, having fun. They're taking extra people on and doing stuff. But also they were like, making an extra pass when they should, and that was pretty awesome for me to see. But anyway, so I was talking to this ref. He's like a 50 something. I think he plays over the hill 50. He coached his whole life. He still refs. He had 2 sons. One played D1. I think he said the other one he thought he could. But we were talking a bunch about soccer, the soccer changing landscape, all this stuff. And he looked at me and he said, you know what I really loved? And he said COVID. And I said, yeah, man, me too. Obviously, I don't know. I just stopped. I don't know if I say that. COVID was a bad thing, obviously. My kids were at an age we lived in a cool neighborhood where they were building forts in the woods, right? Like they didn't have to worry about school or sports. We had to only intervene when we realized they had like a bathroom in their fort in the woods, and we weren't sure like that was a great move with a bunch of boys and girls, so we had to step in there. But like where I lived, I think my kids have great memories from that. So them being outside, we went through like 9 bikes. That's what I mean. I know COVID was a bad thing. I apologize. I'm sorry to those who lost their lives, who were affected with that stuff. But so he said that, and I think back to like, yeah, I got to hang out with my wife and kids a bunch. But then I was like, well, what do you mean? Because his kids were older than mine, and older kids were already on screens and things like that. And he goes, no, I miss it because the parents weren't in here. And I was like, okay, something we probably all know. We've probably all like talked about a little bit. But like, I'd never talked to a referee about it. And not like a career soccer guy, right? This is a 50-year soccer guy. He still plays over the hill. He coached. His kids played club. He now refs. Reffing's the worst job in the world, right? It's so hard to do. It's hard to do and get right. And you're getting yelled at the whole time. So he said like, dude, during COVID, it was just cool. The parents weren't here. So the kids could just play. They could listen to their coach. He's like, you could see them get better because they just had like one voice or 2 voices, the coaches telling them what to do. So we know being a ref is hard. We know sideline behavior is out of control. But I actually had the opportunity to talk to this dude. Oh, now maybe if I look this way, I wonder if it's better for all the viewers. I think there's 11 people that subscribed to this channel back when I used to post town soccer games. But I think I have to look at myself, which is weird. But anyway, so I had this conversation with a ref, and since then I've talked to a couple other refs about different things, but that was the first time where he was just like, dude, COVID was better than this because the kids could just play. So we can't talk to refs, right? Head coach, captain, band, maybe a little bit, but sideline behavior, we got to be careful what we say to our kids. We got to be careful on the ride home. We got to be careful around the dinner table, and we can't yell at refs. Right? We just can't. It's a hard job. It's hard to see what's going on anyway. And guess what? They don't care if our 11-year-old wins a game. They're not biased, right? If you make them mad, they probably will be, right? But they are doing the best they can. It's hard to see sometimes. It's moving. It's fast, and they're kids, right? We can never yell at a kid, right? Like I was telling that story. There was like a 16-year-old kid. Thankfully, he could handle himself. But as coach and parents, we can never open our mouth if it's a kid. We should never if it's adult either, but we should never do it if it was a kid. My other big question before I got to get out of here quickly is we had a call the other day, and I have to look it up because I learned a new rule if it's right, but I'm a little suspect on it. But so in the box, a ball hit one of the we were playing Friday night, hit a girl, jumped up, hit her hand, like clear hit her hand, right? The ref saw it, right? And she said, so I stood there like this. I went like this. I just stood like this. I didn't say anything. I was probably going to keep my hands up until she looked at me. She looked at me and she said, there's a rule. If the ball hits your body and then your hand, that it's not a handball. I'm not sure that's correct. I got to look it up because I can just knee it to myself and whack it, right? So in intent, we know in soccer, it's like an unnatural position in the box is the big deal. But I did this. Is that okay? I don't know. I did this. I didn't say anything. I wanted her to look at me, right? I wanted to talk about it. I think it was okay. But thinking back, I don't know if I want to do that again. But so youth sports, we spend so much time doing this. It's a huge area of opportunity for us. Let's be better on the sidelines and let's help police each other, right? In town, when we're coaching, they tell us as the coaches, we're in charge, right? If a parent gets out of line, we can't rely on our 14-year-old neighbor to talk to them. So let's be better there with all of it, right? All my communities of Chatham, Medfield, Wellesley, everyone in the middle from Southie and college or whatever, let's just be better. Right? If parents are out of line, well, 2 things. If parents are out of line on the sideline, let's talk to them about it. And as parents, talking to our kids, let's make sure we're doing this correctly. And again, the goal is for this to be a conversation. If you think I said something that was wrong, text me, comment on this. I got to figure out, I don't know how podcasts work. And let's just figure it out. If you got a tough spot, if this is hard for you, talk to me. It's hard for me. I went like this to a referee on Friday night. I got kicked out of a soccer game I was about to get kicked out. I ran away and put a disguise on April 18th, 2025. And the rest of the time, I tried really hard to be really good at it. But sideline behavior, we got to work on it. Thanks for listening. I love you.